right. Did you ever do like little experiments in your house when you were younger?
Like mud pies and potions and like that type of thing,
Or
no?
like injecting viruses into bacteria?
No.
Maybe that was an original experience for me.
You did have a virology dad.
Yeah, my parents made me do all sorts of weird experiments.
I did like maybe like the elephant toothpaste at most, but like I don't know what a virus was until like
My dad would bring
much
home
later.
like petri plates and like bacteria, and he'd be like culture stuff.
That's awesome.
And like our like fume hood was like our like vent for like the oven. I remember one time in high school.
This is definitely like HIPAA and OSHA standards, 100%.
I remember one time in high school, my like dad was like, "You need to like do science so that like you learn something." So I brought like Staphylococcus aureus to school. And I was like, "Can I incubate these here?" And my teachers were like, "Where did you even get this from?"
No, literally.
They were all so confused, and they were like, "No, you can't incubate it." So then we put it in our oven at home.
So then we cooked the Staph aureus. Okay.
And incubated.
I mean, yeah.
And then I won the symposium, or I got 21st in the state.
How old were you?
15.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
not as bad as I thought.
Yeah. Well, that was my experience with an at-home laboratory. Lobotomy. But there's a woman who created an actual laboratory in her bedroom when she was banned from her lab. She discovered a protein that changed how neuroscience is done and won a Nobel Prize for not for surviving World War II, but she won a Nobel Prize after surviving World War II. And this is the story of, there's a lot of Italian names in this one, Rita Levi-Montalcini. I'm sorry, I'm feeling a little cracked today. So, Rita Levi-Montalcini and her younger sister, Paola, were born on April 22nd, 1909 in Turin, Italy.
Wait, what was her sister's name again?
Paola.
Okay, continue.
They were the youngest sisters of Adamo Levi, an electrical engineer and a mathematician. I'm also really confused on what professional mathematicians do.
I've been asking that question for a long time.
There's like a guy I know that like majored in math. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Because like they get the same jobs as like computer scientists.
Yeah.
It's just like data analysts.
Yeah.
So like why? Like you have to learn to code. So why is it math? Just anyways, him and Adele Montalcini. I also love that they hyphenated the name because like this was back in 1909. So yippee slay. But she was a painter. Their family was Sephardic Jewish, meaning that they have ancestry in Spain and Portugal, specifically the Iberian Peninsula. This is where Iberian ham is from. That it might be really random, but it's really good ham. But I don't know if this is true for all Jewish people, but I've heard like Jewish people place a very high importance on intelligence and like education. I don't know if have you heard that?
No, but I feel like it makes sense considering other like common stereotypes we know about Jews. You gotta be smart.
Yeah. So the Jewish section will become relevant later, but I'm letting you know now that they were Jewish. And although they had a high importance on education, Rita's father believed that a career for a woman would interfere with the quote-unquote traditional feminine role of a wife and mother.
I'm gonna go throw up.
Yeah, not slay of him. And didn't let his daughters get any education past finishing school, and finishing school was just how to be a good wife and mother.
Yippee!
However, when Rita was young, the family's governess, which is like a full-time nanny, developed a gastrointestinal tumor that caused her to fall ill. Rita was determined to do something about this, and so she said to her father, can I become a doctor? And he was like, you know what? Sure. Why not? So he was actually like fine with it. Like she just like went and asked him. She said, quote, at 20, I realized I could not possibly adjust to the feminine role as conceived by my father and asked his permission to engage in a professional career. And he said yes. So that was nice of him.
Yeah. So at that point, Rita was severely undereducated for medical school, but like obviously it wasn't her fault. So schools for the for the girls at the time were focused on teaching them to be good wives and mothers, while schools for boys focused on the sciences, philosophy, and yada yada yada. So Rita did not let this stop her, though, because she crammed years worth of Latin, Greek, mathematics, you name it, everything possibly, into 8 months.
She was the original MCAT.
8 months is crazy.
That's probably more than...
8 months is crazy for one subject.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This short summer, where we tried to cram as much as we possibly could of classes that we had already taken, felt like hell on earth.
Yep.
So 8 months of all of that, girl was determined.
Also, it wasn't even just, like, the normal, like, things you need for medicine. Greek and Latin.
Yeah.
Imagine there's a Latin reading section.
I think I would become something else. So anyway, so it seems like Rita did not attend any sort of like undergraduate education. She just went straight for her MD. She graduated from the University of Turin summa cum laude with a degree in medicine and surgery in 1936. Cum laude?
Cum laude? You have that.
Doesn't mean I can pronounce it.
She graduated summa cum laude. Everyone clap and be proud of her.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh god, where was I? Oh yes, so she graduated with her degree in 1936. She then went on to attempt to do a 3-year specialization in neurology and psychiatry, where she faced quite a few challenges.
Namely, a world war.
So while in medical school, she met a professor named Giuseppe Levi.
Giuseppe! Giuseppe!
My American is showing. I'm sorry, Giuseppe. Okay, but so they're not related, they just have the same last name. It's popular, and like that name is a popular Italian last name. Okay, thank you. So anyway, so she called him the master.
The master.
Little strange, but slay. We support, support women's rights and their wrongs. Anyway.
I love supporting women's wrongs.
So Professor Levi sparked her interest in studying the nervous system. Fun little fact, he also taught her how to use silver to better observe nerves under the microscope, which became critical to her later discoveries. But this technique was by the Italian histologist Camillo Golgi, like the Golgi body, the Golgi apparatus.
Yes, the Golgi apparatus.
I don't know, maybe it's the bionerginous, but Golgi.
Golgi. I was reading that and I was like, wait, I have to look up if this is the Golgi. And it was indeed the Golgi.
Really?
It was the Golgi.
It's not a very popular...
What do you mean?
Name?
Oh.
For like a person to
I
have?
thought you meant it wasn't like a popular like thing.
I'm gonna name my son Golgi. By my son, I mean my second cat.
Putin Golgi. So, unfortunately, this was probably the worst timing for Rita to become a physician due to the impending World War II. In 1938, Benito Mussolini proclaimed the Manifesto per la Difesa della
Race,
which translates to the Manifesto for the Defense of Race. Not as cute in slay as it sounds in Italian. But this fascist law suspended non-Aryans, specifically Jewish people, from academic work and jobs at universities. During this time, she was working as a research assistant for Professor Levi, and she was studying electrical activity, differentiation, feedback circuits, and all of that. She was studying a lot of brain processes in chick embryos. However, because of Mussolini's laws, Rita could not publish their work, which, like, the whole non-Aryan thing always bothers me. First of all, I could go on into such a long thing about how Hitler stole the term Aryans from the Aryans that came and invaded India, but anyways. Hitler considered Aryans to be the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, original people of Germany. So how are there non-Aryans in Italy when most of their population is very dark-skinned, like half the time they're getting confused for Middle Eastern or Indian people? Dark brown hair.
Yeah.
But I was trying to read stuff, and apparently Hitler was fine with other races as long as they stayed in
They're like
Their
areas.
Yes.
That's so fucked up. Also,
He called the Japanese the Aryans of the East. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
didn't he have dark hair and not blue eyes?
And he was also Jewish.
Yeah.
He was also Jewish. The internalized xenophobia. Nope, not xenophobia. Anti-Semitism. I mean, I guess xenophobia too. Yeah. So, they couldn't publish in Italy, but they did get to publish in Switzerland. And I'm really scatterbrained today, but anytime I think of Switzerland, I think of Twilight.
Swiss cheese.
No, I think of Twilight. When Bella's like, I'm Switzerland!
That's sound better.
But in March of 1938, Rita went to a neurological institute. Neurological? I'm pretty sure that's neuroscience. Neuroscience Institute in Brussels, Belgium, to continue her work, but unfortunately had to quickly return to Turin due to the impending German invasion.
Dude, side tangent. World War must be horrifying.
I fear we may be experiencing one soon.
I really, with all my entire heart, hope not.
I hope not. I went to where World War II started. It's in Poland.
Yeah.
I went to the beach. I have sand from that beach, actually.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, no, it's terrifying.
Why do humans fight other humans? Why must...
Men.
Yeah.
The answer is always men.
This is so true. But, like, not all the other men want more. Please.
I know.
Please just, like, hug it out. So, back to Rita. So once Rita was back, she was in a little bit of a pickle. How could she continue her research if she was forbidden to even set foot in the university? So don't try this at home, but she literally made a laboratory in her bedroom. She had remembered reading a paper published by Victor Hamburger, unrelated to the invention of the hamburger. Oh dear. On the effects of a limb amputation in chick embryos. That's crazy.
Snip, snip.
He claimed that removing the developing limbs of chick embryos resulted in a smaller nerve cell ganglia, which are clusters of nerve cells outside of the central nervous system.
So, like, not your brain and spinal cord.
Is the rest of it. Dude, this is insane. So, in my, like, lab in Clemson,
my god, yeah, because you did chickens!
we did, yeah, and we had several chick embryos that we would incubate and then, like, poke at them, which I didn't do the poking part, but our, like, PI did. But, like, those things are so tiny. They're so small. Several of them were lost for science, but, again, they're just so small. How can you not accidentally, like... Anyway, so Rita made scalpels from sewing needles and used an ophthalmologist's tiny scissors, which is like an eye doctor, by the way. They have some really tiny instruments that seem to not work all the time, and a watchmaker's forceps to study the neurons under a microscope. This is insane. So this was incredibly dangerous for her to do. If her bedroom were to be checked by the military, which was definitely a thing in World War II, she would have been immediately arrested and potentially even killed. She appears to be a very optimistic woman and has said this about the experience. I should thank Mussolini for having declared me to be of an inferior race. This led me to the joy of working, not anymore, unfortunately, in university institutes, but in a bedroom. Since it is a quote, I can't really tell if she's a sassy diva or if she, like, genuinely is, like, a half-glass full type of person. But regardless, she continued her work and even started to collaborate with her former medical school mentor, Giuseppe Levi.
So together, Rita and Giuseppe concluded a finding that was actually different than Hamburger's original finding. Can't get over hamburger. Hamburger.
That's probably how they pronounced it.
I don't know, because I was typing it out. I was like, I can't say hamburger. I have to say hamburger. But, like, I can't say that either. Anyways, Hamburger believed that the nerve degeneration was due to the lack of an inducive factor. Quote unquote inducive factor. That's what he called it. So I was trying to understand what he was saying. Basically, he was saying that if there was a tissue that hadn't been innervated. Innervated means like the nerve goes into the tissue. So if there was a tissue that hadn't yet been innervated and that didn't release the factor, then to innervate, then there would be no innervation. Does that confuse you? Yeah, it confused me too, because that doesn't make any sense.
What? I mean,
it's like you have the arm, like the arm exists, but the arm has no nerve, and then
I see.
The arm is telling you to make the nerve, but how would you know to make the nerve if the arm doesn't exist
yet? You take
yet?
away the like factor or thing that tells you to have nerve, and therefore you have nerve, and it won't have more nerve because you took away the thing that give you nerve.
I think so.
That yeah.
Yeah.
Very confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what bro was on, but it didn't really make sense, like at all. Rita also didn't know what this guy was on. She said, something's wrong there. So Rita and Giuseppe proposed instead that nerve growth was stopped because the surrounding tissues released a trophic factor. So like imagine like my arm. Hamburger's saying you cut off the arm is what releases the factor back up. Rita and Giuseppe are saying if you cut the arm off here, the factor is in this area near where you cut the arm off.
Okay.
Which makes more sense, because how would you have factor if you grow arm? I'm not really saying full words, but Rita's version just makes a lot more sense. Because like if you have the signal to grow around where the nerve is, then that would make sense that you would push it out further rather than already having something created and then retroactively go backwards.
Yeah.
It's like the chicken and the egg.
I mean, it's most definitely the egg, but...
Okay, I've never even opened that for discussion in my brain.
It's like he's such an easy answer. Because whatever the heck differentiated evolutionary...
Yeah. You had to have the thing, the egg. I would agree.
Yeah, see?
I think I actually have thought about it. I was just like, this is such a simple answer that, like, why would you argue about it?
Exactly.
Because, like, something had to mutate and give birth to something that wasn't the same of it.
Right, but if you don't, like, think about it, or you have no, like, bio knowledge, and you're just, like, a computer science boy, you'd never know.
Exactly.
You might say the computer came first.
Of course.
Yeah, and then they created the chickens. We're slowly becoming a conspiracy channel.
Oh my god, yeah. We're kind of cracked today, but it's okay. So, moral of the story is, Rita's version made a lot more sense, and her theory laid the groundwork for a modern understanding of nerve cell death as a part of normal development. Like, as you grow and age, like, different parts of, like, your nerves actually, like, die when you stop using them. But that's normal. Like, you stop using something, it's not like, oh, part of your brain dies, you just...
Speaking of, when you don't use something, things die, right? Or get weaker. Eat your damn vegetables. People nowadays, because we have so much processed foods, and processed foods are easier to chew so that you eat more of them quicker and then you go buy more, people's jaws are getting smaller and recessed, and people have more overbites. And then they'll complain about, like, real whole foods being harder to chew.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
That's wild.
Yeah, it's causing a lot of issues in, like, younger kids.
So lazy. Anyways.
Well, yeah. And, like, sure, there's other factors, like, maybe, like, socioeconomics and, like, what your parents buy. But, like, at the end of the day, yeah, I think it's laziness.
Yeah.
To a degree. So.
Just a little bit. But... we really cannot focus on a topic today. So sorry, guys. You're just hearing us yap, which, like, I think is fun. I don't know if you do. Yippity yappity.
Yeah, it's okay. This is really for us at this point.
Yo, for sure, 100%. We're just having fun here. But Rita found something cool, and then she couldn't publish it because she was a Jew. So then she published it in foreign journals later. She didn't publish eventually. She couldn't publish in an Italian journal.
Wow, okay. So, from 1942 to 1943, the Allies bombed Turin. So, Rita and her family located to Piemonte, which was like an hour away when she recreated her laboratory and continued her experiments. So she would bike to a nearby farm to get chicken eggs for her experiments. Did she, like, steal them, or did she...
No, she, like, purchased them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so... 100% of respect to her. She did some insane work during a war, and like severe oppression. But anyway, so I'm trying to imagine like that poor farmer who's like, why does this lady keep taking all of my chicken eggs? We are at war, we are rationing, and this woman keeps taking all of my eggs.
It's like Gaston and how he like drove the egg prices up because he kept eating all the eggs in Belle.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast. The movie's
She's
called
not
Beauty
even
and the Beast.
eating them.
It's not Belle. Yeah, she's not even eating them. They're not, I mean, they are going to good use, but like.
She just kind of poking them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And killing them.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, in 1943, the Germans invaded northern Italy, so Rita and her family fled even further south to Florence, where she had to do her experiments underground. So Florence is also the first place where Rita actually implemented her MD degree, as she worked as an Allies doctor at a refugee camp until the end of the war in 1945. After the war was over, her family moved back to Turin, and Rita went back to the University of Turin.
In 1947, Victor Hamburger, the dude who she based her experiments off of, literally invited her to Washington University in St. Louis. St. Louis? No, it's Louis. St. Louis?
Yeah.
Okay. And he was like curious like how they came to different conclusions, and he was like, I want to work with this girl and I want to replicate these experiments. And this is great because for once we actually see someone who wants to collaborate and learn what happened rather than just like dispelling a woman's like science just because she's a woman. So while at Washington University, Rita read a paper by one of Hamburger's students, and it noted a malignant mouse tumor that was placed on a chick embryo, and it caused a bunch of nerve fibers to populate. Hamburger thought it was because of the larger surface area. So like you have like your chick embryo and then put a tumor on top. And he was like, well, there's more surface area, so like that's what's causing the extra nerve growth.
Like bacteria, obviously.
Yeah. And Rita was like, dog, I don't know. She was always like, I don't know. And she suspected something else, and she was right. So she thought that it released, like the tumor released the same quote-unquote trophic factor that budding limbs do. And she did the experiment again, and I always find it funny because like Einstein's like definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But like that's what science is. You do the same thing over and over again and see if the results are different. I did the same experiment for 3 years straight and only got 2 successful trials, and each of those experiments took 2 months to do. But I got 2 successful trials. So yeah. Rita kept doing those experiments over and over again. And in 1952, Rita tumorified her mice again. And then she kidnapped the mice. She stuck the mice in her purse and took them to Brazil.
What?
She literally took the mice to Rio de Janeiro.
Why?
So Washington University didn't have a great like tissue culture laboratory.
Okay.
And so she was like, I want to get like real results. I want to like make sure my work is credible. Like I want to go to some place that had the resources. Mm-hmm. So she went to a tissue culture facility in Rio. But apparently she just stuck the mice in her purse with her. Like, I would think, you know, you put them in a carrier, because, like, it's not like you're driving to Rio. Like, you're flying there. But so every source I found says she just stuck them in her purse and took them to Rio. So, yeah.
She gave her mice cancer, then stole them?
Yeah.
And her purse?
Yeah.
You can't make this up.
You can't make this up.
So Rita definitely enjoyed her time in Brazil. She stayed for 4 months, experiencing as much culture as she could. So apparently she went to the beach every single day during lunch, and sometimes she would just walk into the ocean fully clothed and just change whenever she got back to the lab.
I'm just imagining the locals being like,
what?
There's the gringa, she's walking into the ocean.
There's the girl with the mice. Look at her in her lab coat swimming in the ocean. Never takes that thing off.
It's like the freshmen that walk around campus with the lab coats. At Clemson, oh my god, if you are going to Clemson, not that anybody on this channel would ever.
Tell them that they have to wear their lab coats.
Don't stop walking around with your lab coat in the wild. Why are you walking all the way across campus in your lab coat?
So this is a whole nother different level, but unfortunately it reminds me of that incident. So recently around campus at MUSC, they must have just had like a white coat ceremony or something that requires them to wear those coats around everywhere. Because I'll be walking on my lunch break and I'm looking around and I see at least 20 people in white coats and they're all wrinkled. But they
look sure they're not like doctors that actually work there?
Why all of a sudden are there like 20 of them?
Because that's a hospital!
No, but there's like an uptick.
Well, I mean, it is white coat ceremony time.
I think so, because they're all very, very young. They look about our age.
Yeah, it's definitely white coat, because I know
but it's really funny.
Greenville, or USC, everyone just had their white coat ceremony. We had the white coat ceremony for nursing, and I think dental and PT. No, wait, dental's in 2 years. PT.
Right.
All of the white coat ceremonies are happening.
Yes, well, I don't know who told them that they need to wear them to class, but...
But that's like normal-ish for like a medical university.
It is.
Not for Clemson. Stop wearing your lab coats around.
If you're an undergrad, don't do that. If you're in medical school, props to you. I'm sorry for laughing at you. I hope to be you. Let's carry on.
Still you, babes.
Oh. Yes. So... when she returned to Washington University, she became an associate professor in 1956 and a full professor in 1958. Although it's not super clear, I believe that she learned how to culture isolated nerve clusters in Brazil. She experienced a lot of failure, but eventually she started to see axis nerve growth and differentiation in tissue near the mouse tumors. So Rita was convinced that this trophic factor was responsible for nerve growth, but the scientific community was seemingly unconvinced.
Which is like kind of valid, because like you bring something up and you don't have like solid proof. You're just like, I think this exists.
Yeah. I figure most of the scientific community are all like
very skeptical.
Yes.
Which like I feel like that's how science should be. Like you don't just accept everything that comes out.
I agree.
So
to set the record straight, she began working with Stanley Cohen, a new addition to the Hamburger Lab. In 1959, he isolated and purified this mysterious trophic factor that Rita had been after all of these years, and they dubbed it the nerve growth factor. Rather uncreative, but I mean, the name tells you what it does, which is great, because that's not often the case. So in 1971, when Cohen determined the protein structure, people started to believe Rita's theory, which had now been solidified as fact. The discovery of the nerve growth factor was paramount for neurology research, as it gave scientists a new way to study neural growth and degenerative diseases such as dementia and Alzheimer's, without having to use actual real people. So additionally, the nerve growth factor has been identified as a potential therapeutic target for treating cancer, a therapeutic by itself for multiple sclerosis, and has been implicated in several psychiatric disorders.
Rita had originally intended to stay at Washington University for just a year. But when she got there, she said, quote, "I felt at home the day that I landed," end quote. Rita ended up staying for 30 years and retired in 1977. In 1986, Rita, alongside Cohen, received the Nobel Prize in 1986. She got the Nobel Prize in 1986 in physiology and medicine. Despite her success in America, she did not forget her roots. She became the director of the Institute of Cell Biology of the Italian National Council of Research from 1969 to 1978, and then became a guest professor after her retirement. We're not exactly sure when, but Rita did eventually go back to Italy. In 2001, she was appointed Senator for Life in Italy, an extremely high honor and one that she did not take lightly. Although she considered it very stressful, she never missed a single session. In 2002, Rita founded the European Brain Research Institute in Rome, which continues her mission of neuroscience research to this very day. She was an avid political activist, and having faced much discrimination on the basis of her gender, race, and religion, she'd condemned and opposed all types of prejudice, and her actions reflected as such. She wrote a book called, this is Italian, and I'm going to say this with a French accent because I don't know how to, La Tue Entente. That's the French of me coming out. It translates to your ancestors, and it was about the life and achievements of marginalized women in science and social movements. Sound familiar? She was literally doing what we're doing right now, but like way back when. I guess it wasn't really way back when. That's actually not that long ago. Actually, it is kind of long ago. Oh my god. Anyways, it's like, okay, like 50 years ago now. Oh wait, hold on.
Isn't the
No, this is in the 2000s. Never mind.
Like 20 years.
Okay, yeah. But she was talking about women in science and their lives and doing the same thing as us. So yippee for Rita. She also created the Rita Levi-Montalcini Foundation to foster and sponsor girls from Africa to pursue careers in science and healthcare.
In 2006, when Rita was 97, crazy by the way, she had the deciding vote on whether or not the Italian parliament was going to cut science funding. Also insane that she's doing things at 97 years old.
Yeah.
Whew. So I don't know who thought that she was going to be like, yes, cut the funding. Because, I mean, she spent her entire life in the pursuit of science. Obviously, she's got to back science. So apparently the people for science budget cuts mocked her age and trying to subdue her. But she said, you're funny, and made them put the budget back. On February 23rd, 2011, Rita was awarded a ceremonial doctorate degree by McGill University, hosted by Sapienza University of Rome, to recognize her outstanding contributions to medicine. It was the first time ever that McGill University had awarded an honorary doctorate outside of Canada. So cool. But I don't really remember reading about Rita working with McGill University, so they were just like, yeah, this lady's so cool, let's give her a doctorate, because she never had ever been to McGill University. Until she had received the honorary doctorate. They just really liked her.
Yeah. So on December 30th, 2012, at the whopping age of 103, Rita finally passed away.
Finally?
I don't know why I said finally. Finally sounds really weird. But, like, she lived so long. Like, that's 103 is crazy.
A century and some change.
Yeah. She was a woman who refused to let prejudice, war, or any sort of doubt silence her curiosity. From building a laboratory I really like saying it like that, in her bedroom during fascist Italy to earning a Nobel Prize for her groundbreaking discovery of nerve growth factor, she showed the world what resilience and intellect can achieve when fueled by conviction. Rita, always the optimist, once said, "If I had not been discriminated against or had not suffered persecution, I would never have received the Nobel Prize." That's really looking on the bright side. Good job for you, Queen. But her legacy is not only scientific, it's deeply human. She proved that knowledge and perseverance can flourish even in the darkest of times. And that is Rita Levi-Montalcini. Yippee!
Yippee! Wow. I have no words.
It was a cool story.
Yeah, she's cool.
I can't believe she took the rats. Rats in Rio.
Rat City!